Watch Who.
Hello, and welcome to Watch Who, a Doctor Who podcast. I'm Mark.
And I'm Sarah.
And I'm a Doctor Who fan.
And I'm new to watching Who.
Yeah, watching for the very first time.
Very first time. Oh, my voice. It's too early. We do night times. This is daytime. I'm going to try that again.
Are you going to do that again?
Very first time.
There we are. There we are.
Just for the sake of it, we're going to get that out. Bloody hell.
And you join us, listener. We're on holiday, actually. We've taken Giles Kent's caravan out.
Of course.
By the beach. It's really nice in here, isn't it?
Sure.
Do you like the decor? The little, the little seat thing that's like a little bed thing.
The little seat thing that's like
Yeah.
the massive... Like, on that, we'll talk about it in it, I'm sure, but who the fuck has, like, just a giant hole, like, human-sized space to hand like that?
Well, it's very useful, isn't it?
Turns out so, yeah.
Anyway, right, we're here. And what's that outside? Is that a helicopter landing?
Oh, my God.
It is, isn't it? There it is. There's someone at the door. So welcome our special guests, Joe and Jack from the Nimon Be Praised podcast. Welcome to the caravan.
Hey!
Welcome to the caravan.
Hello! We're here to very viscerally and facetiously just smash up the entire place.
Not our crockery. Leave that alone.
Poor crockery. Poor imaginary crockery.
I've built up this crockery collection. Giles Kent left it to me.
Well, I am going to smash it to pieces. I'm so sorry.
So, yeah, welcome. How was your helicopter ride with Astrid?
Yeah, divine. It was death-defying, I'll tell you. But I'm glad we're here.
You're here to talk about Enemy of the World. But before we do that, do you want to tell us a bit about your podcast, the Nimon Be Praised?
Go on, you go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Assuming my internet connection allows me to speak for a sentence or two. So Joe and I do a Doctor Who podcast called The Nimon Be Praised, named after the glorious Nimons from 1979's The Nimon Be Praised. The Horns of Nimon. And essentially, we just witter about for about 2 unedited hours of just us.
You're really kind to suggest that it's 2 hours. It's usually about 3. It's 3 plus. And in fact, when Mark and Sarah came onto our podcast, it was nearly 4. Because we spent half an hour at the beginning not even talking about the subject we were supposed to be talking about, which is glorious.
That was really funny because I think once we finished recording, I was chatting to Joe. It's like, we really should have got the bits that were not recorded because those were just really funny. So many great gags we just never heard.
So Nimon Be Praised. So is it that you're both fans of that era of Doctor Who, or...?
I think we're coming to the conclusion that we love it all. Even the really, really bad stuff. Even like the Web Planet, Sarah. We love it all. But that's where we started. And I think that's why a lot of people have come to listen, because we started with a Graham Williams story, and that's not usually your usual in to finding a fan base.
And I enjoyed your Megalos episode recently. Talking about episodes of Doctor Who that maybe aren't the most popular, but it has made me go back and watch Megalos.
Oh, how did you find it on rewatch?
Well, it's not my favourite of that season. And we've got a long way, Sarah, before we get there.
I was going to say.
It's about a talking sentient cactus.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Can't wait.
So what's coming up on your podcast? What other stories are...
The process is not particularly thorough. The most consistent way we have done it has been towards the end of an episode, we go, we haven't chosen something for next week. What do you want to do? And then we'll pick an episode, and then we'll never talk about that episode, and we'll end up choosing something else.
And then sort of midweek, I'll go, Jack, let's do this. And it's like, but we promised in the episode we're going to do that. Yeah, never mind. And so we end up making like tons of false promises that we never, ever meet. But coming up is one that is a long time in the making, about 5 weeks in the making. We're doing the trial of Stephen Moffat.
Oh.
I'm prosecuting and Jack is defending, and we're both very passionate about this one.
That is going to be... Well, that's a big subject to tackle. That is...
It's been kind of like at various points, like, how do I defend six seasons of television all at once? So it's been a bit of a head scratcher, but quite exciting whenever we actually get around to recording it.
Whereas I was like, I never want to stop prosecuting those 6 seasons. So I'm there.
Yeah.
Shall we get into today's story? Because you've chosen to come on to talk about the enemy of the world, which I say in a very surprised way.
It's a big statement, isn't it, to be the enemy of the world?
The whole thing.
Yeah, so...
Well, we'll try and go through in our usual way, sort of in story order, and talk about things as things come up. But can I ask you both, what is your sort of first experience of this story of before it was missing? No, after it was missing. No, before it was missing. What am I talking about?
I don't know, love. I don't know. Do you mean before it was found?
Before it was found, yes, that's what I mean. So we only had episode 3 for a very long time. So did you both experience just the episode 3 before it was found in 2013?
For me, it was I wasn't one of these people that got on the bandwagon when this was found. I loved this before it was found. So I listened to the audio, and I did a review of the audio on my blog, where I went mad in love with this story. Then when it came back and I saw it, I was really scared because as an audio, it is actually really good. It's a lot of politics, there's a lot of talking, so it works. It's not like a lot of action, so it works really well on audio. And it was really fantastic. So I was really pleased that when it was recovered, it was as good as I thought it was going to be.
I I never watched it beforehand, so I knew of it and I was very intrigued by it because obviously, Patrick Troughton was playing the Doctor and the villain in the story, so I was naturally drawn to it. But I never listened to the recording of it. I didn't even know, because I think, was it episode 3 was the one that was still in archives? When it was rediscovered, I bought the DVD and just, I think, watched it in one go and just absolutely loved it. I think it's a fantastic story. And I haven't watched it in a very long time, so I put it on today and just was really, I hadn't seen it since about 5 years ago when I watched it with my dad. And just kind of going back through, I was like, oh, this is really quite good. And I was, loved it. But I very much came to it after it was rediscovered.
Because I think maybe, is this a fan thing where it was like, where were you when you heard... When you heard the enemy of the world? And the following story was, just to explain to Sarah, in 2013, 50th anniversary of Doctor Who, 2 stories came back that were found, and it was a big deal at the time. And they were like, the BBC announced it, and then they dropped it on iTunes at midnight to download the episodes. It was like a huge thing.
2:00 in the morning, I was watching this from 2 till 6 in the morning, and I was working the next day. But I was like, I need to see this. I've got to see this.
It's so weird because it was so exciting. I think I heard the news and I was like, oh great, they've amazing. Someone has found these episodes. Great, we've got another however many it was back in the archive. And then I was like, oh, I'll wait for the DVD. I didn't bother downloading the whole. I was like, well, they're there now. They exist. I'm not
so
in any rush. I don't know why. I was just like, I'm just glad they're there. I know, the knowledge is there. They're there. I'll wait and then watch them. So I didn't really watch Enemy of the World right through straight away.
Add to the DVD collection. That's all it was. You were just like, well.
Yeah, and it just wasn't bothered. And following story, which I don't want to go into spoilers for Sarah. I think everyone was more excited for the following story than this story.
Right.
But then I think. Fan opinion of this story has gone right up since it was discovered. Because episode 3, I watched a few times. I was like, oh, there's no monsters. It's just a bit. There's some nice wallpaper. Not much else.
But I think it's gone the other way, hasn't it? A little bit. This story is now held up really, and when they found the other one, that reputation notched down a little bit, which is interesting.
Which is then interesting for these people that have the episodes in their basement. What do they think about some of these missing stories?
Let it go.
Whoever's got Marco Polo might be like, yeah, it's really rubbish. I'm not going to give this to anyone.
No, I'm doing us a favour.
Well, in a twist surprise, I have to tell you that I am, in fact, that person. It was me all along.
No.
No, it's not me. I wish.
Someone out there, someone's got a few episodes.
I don't think Mark would
if you
speak
can
to
hear
you
me
again
right
if
now.
It was you.
What?
I don't think you'd speak to Joe again if it was Joe holding on to.
But then he could come over and watch them.
That's not what Mark's belief is, that they should be shared for all.
Yeah. Well, this ends here then, Mark. Sorry.
Anyway.
Now listen, there are 3 of us here. We've all had a look.
Well, if you're that definite, I'll contact Giles.
Now, we'll take care of this ourselves.
Listen, Anton, you do nothing without Giles's agreement.
There isn't time.
Make time.
You think I'm going to pass up a chance like this? You're crazy.
Well, at least wait till I get there. Anton. Anton!
We are in Australia
Yes,
in this. Yes.
It's very
the
hot, isn't it?
Australasian zone.
With no Australian accents from anyone.
No.
Well, some pretty terrible. There was one near the beginning that was awful.
Oh, yes,
you said that,
guy.
didn't you?
Well, I said to Mark, I went, Mark, there's no Australian accents. And he went, yeah, there is. And he went, look, this person is. And they were talking. I went, Mark, how much Neighbours do you watch? Like, you know what an Australian accent is. That is not an Australian accent.
Actually, okay. Can I just ask, Jack, are you anywhere near Melbourne? You're not, are you?
No. I'm in Canberra, so I'm very far away. But, still close to many Australian accents, which would take issue with some of the deliveries here.
No. I won't.
Being filmed. Is that Canberra Sands or somewhere?
Oh, Neighbours?
No.
Oh, no.
Is Neighbours filmed in Canberra Sands?
I think maybe it's like Dorset or something. It's a nice beach.
If I was just like, well, that's no beach I've ever been to.
Okay.
Well, I was going to ask, actually, when was the last time we all went to the beach? Because I haven't been for a very long time.
What, do you mean beach with sand?
Yeah, I think beach. Well, beach
Because
with sea.
Mark,
No,
we
like-
climbed rocks
Yeah, no, I
on
don't
a
call
beach.
that as a beach. No,
Right,
I mean
that's
like
what
a
I mean.
proper sea beach.
I mean, I live on the coast, so I went to the beach yesterday, but it was a pebbly beach.
Yeah.
Well, the thing with me is that because Canberra's very inland, so we've got one ginormous man-made lake, and that's about it. So the last time I was at a beach must have been about a year and a half ago, I think. I have a friend who lives around here, but she was originally from Western Australia, where they have like bright weather and beautiful beaches. And every now and again, because that's where she grew up, she'll just go, I need to leave Canberra. I just need to go back to a real beach. Which has been tough for her recently. But yeah, beaches, wonderful. I've never been to this one in particular. I have absolutely they don't actually say where they land, do they? Where in Australia?
No, it's just Australia.
Alien zone.
Australasian.
Thank you.
Australasian.
Australasian.
Thank you. But I tell you, it's beautifully directed, all of that. Like, it's really nice to be out in the open spaces and having some action.
So are we all shocked that the Doctor goes into the sea like that? Because that's a moment, isn't it?
Wearing long johns.
Well, yeah, exactly.
He very much frolics, doesn't he? He has a good frolic. Although, to be fair, right, they have been in ice for like 2 episodes, like 2 stories previously. So anything that isn't ice, I reckon I'd be frolicking too.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look hot there.
It seems to be some beach in Dorset, doesn't it? So
Yeah.
in reality, I think he does a good job at making it seem warmer.
Well, yeah, it's a nice, fun opening.
And it's what in whatever 60s era year we're in, they thought 2018 was going to be like.
Well, yeah, it says because Astrid's helicopter license is up in 2018, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
It's the past now, isn't it?
yeah, so that happened.
Now it's the past.
Yeah.
No, I felt aggressively unfashionable when I realized that 2018 happened and suddenly I wasn't wearing all these high collars that everybody seems to be wearing in 2018.
I know, the fashion of 2018 is very like high contemporary 60s, if I'm honest, but, you know.
Yeah, we've had that the last few stories, like in the Ice Warriors, it was all these sort of white things with collars, and it's all very. That's the future.
Things go in waves in fashion.
Well, talking about clothes watch, Victoria and Jamie are in nice sort of matching outfits. They've both got their tartan skirts on.
So here's my question.
You like that, didn't you?
Yeah. We've had Jamie like do his casual weird flirt with Victoria, which was like very odd. And he's in this one he refers to as his girlfriend. Now, granted, it's fun. Like, is that a thing? Are they like an item and now they dress the same?
Well, I was reading on TARDIS Wiki earlier about Victoria, and she's supposed to be 14, 15.
Oh.
What?
Which I was really surprised at. And Jamie's supposed to be 22.
There was a moment
It's a-
where Victoria was in Jamie's lap in the helicopter, and he looked really unhappy. Like, whereas I know Fraser Hines himself probably was extremely happy in that moment.
I think they went out in real life just for a little bit around this time.
They must have. I
Yeah.
reckon they did. There's good
Yeah.
chemistry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, better than Polly.
Oh, yeah. Better than Polly. Anything's better than Polly.
Yeah, they're suited to each other, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I was like, are they like, because I mean, bear in mind, like when they first met, it was Jamie saving Victoria and this sort of, save the woman idea. Are they like a thing now?
Yeah, I think so. I think
unofficial thing.
she's older than 14, 15. Can I just say?
I think I'd say she's like.
I always thought she was like 18 or something.
No, I reckon in my head she's like 16, 17, 18. She's over 16, but she's not more than 18.
Well,
Yeah.
so this hovercraft turns up, and we get the helicopter, and we get a lot of action in this first episode. Victoria's scared of the helicopter to begin with.
And Jamie.
Actually, Jamie and Victoria are like, what is this hovercraft thing?
Also, Jamie has been on like an airport runway. He has seen these things before, surely, but apparently we forget that.
Because I'm a bit out. I haven't watched many of the Troughton stories, and I haven't seen many from this season. So I immediately, when Victoria was like, "No, I can't," I was like, "Why not? It's a helicopter." And then a brief second later, I was like, "Oh, of course," but they're from different time periods. But then I was like, "Surely, at this point in their run, they've seen like a helicopter before, or like a spaceship."
I mean, to be
Yeah.
fair to Victoria, if it was like, let's all cram in the front of this helicopter, I would be like, no, I can't do that. It doesn't look very safe, especially because there's a hole in the fuel tank. I go on the hovercraft, I wouldn't go in the helicopter.
I can understand Victoria, but Jamie was on an airline, like,
It's a flight to space.
flight to space. He's been on an he has actually been on aircraft before. And also they have been like, whatever around they've been in the TARDIS for a while now.
Maybe it was like the urgency of the situation. It was like they didn't really have time to think. It was just get on this thing and let's go. And we meet Astrid, action woman Astrid, I'm going to call her.
I love her.
Like, how unusual to have a strong woman like that right in the middle of a 60s story. Well, maybe Barbara, but after Barbara, that.
Yeah,
She's very like Sarah Super Trooper, isn't she?
Sarah Kingdom.
Sarah Kingdom. But she's, I don't know, but she's better.
She is amazing in this.
Super Trooper had flaws. She doesn't.
Well, she's been doing this for a long time. She's obviously in this world and in this situation. It's her job. She is.
She's not afraid to kill.
No, exactly. Yeah, she's amazing.
Karate chop and fire and drive a helicopter.
She gets shot in the arm, doesn't she? She is really cool. And then we meet Giles Kent,
Hiss.
played by Bill Kerr, which I was really surprised at because I know him from Hancock's Half Hour. I don't know if anybody.
No.
If anybody's heard that, no?
We're not that old. What are you saying?
Okay.
No.
I think no. So that's like a 50s BBC comedy,
Of course.
and he is Australian. He's real life Australian, I think. Oh, I shouldn't have said that.
Mark.
He is, isn't he?
I think he
I
is.
would-
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, because I was tuning into the accent on that one. I was like, no, that does sound that sounds like the real deal.
So he sounds more Australian in Hancock's Half Hour.
Okay.
So I know him from that. So that's really strange because I've heard his voice for years and years and years. Until I watched this, I had no idea what he looked like.
Well, I want to preempt the ending because Doctor Who does not normally pull off these last minute twists of character. I think that's done really well in this because when I first heard it, I was convinced he was just out to bring him down. And then at the end, you're like, what? He wants to take over?
Yeah, it's a great twist. And he's really good at doing, it's just really well done.
Yeah.
We both were like, what?
Yeah, because I've got the CD, but I don't think I haven't sort of tuned in. By the time it gets to the end of the CD, I'm not really listening. for a lot of these ones. So, and I don't think I'd really watched this very much before we watched it properly. So I was shocked at the end. I had no idea that was going to happen.
And they get this like terrific sort of end of season, the two villains confronting each other moment. It's so tense. I love it.
And one of the things that makes the twist really great as well is that even though it's a real shocker, it's also very believable that he would do it, because throughout the story, he's been consciously like blackmailing the Doctor by, first, getting the soldiers around and forcing him to do the salamander impression, and then, essentially blackmailing him later by going, "You want to rescue your friends, don't you? So you need to do this for me." So he's not entirely trustworthy. So when it comes back around later, you're like, "Oh shit!" But also, it makes sense.
But they do that great bit in the middle, don't they? Where the guard goes, it's the crockery bit, where they're really like abusing him, aren't they? Like treating him terribly. So they convince you that this guy's a victim, and he's evil.
Yeah, that's so good. So Giles Kent explains about Salamander, and we get this set up. And I think us watching it, we know that there's this double of the Doctor. But Sarah, what were you thinking when this was?
Well, the first thing I thought was, we've done this before.
You're talking about the massacre.
Yes.
But that's completely different.
Well, yes and no, actually, because the massacre, I spent the whole time, it was so poorly explained. I spent the whole time being like, is that the Doctor pretending to be? And also in the massacre, actually, he is playing that another character.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
So it is the same.
Yes.
So actually, just going back around circle,
I think this is completely different to the massacre. It's
more
Salamander
in depth.
is a main character.
It's more in depth, and you actually have the Doctor around. That's the difference. Yeah. So whereas in like the massacre, you had the Doctor playing another character, however poorly done it felt, he was playing another character. This one, you have the Doctor playing another character, but also playing the Doctor.
Yes. Yeah. So are you saying that you weren't surprised, or you were?
I was just like, oh, well, we've been here before.
So it was just nothing. It just meant nothing to you. It wasn't exciting. Right. Okay. There we are.
There we are. It was just the thing. I was like, well, let's see how this one does.
Okay.
But he's got some charisma, hasn't he? Like I think it's a really great performance.
It is. He's really good. And it shows actually his versatility as an actor, in that he very much you can not just an accent wise, but the way he plays the two. Like if you remove the accent, as a performance, they are completely different. And
like you wouldn't get William Hartnell doing Salamander.
Oh, I'd love to see it though. But apparently,
would you?
Oh, always. Behind the scenes, apparently, Fraser Hines and Patrick Troughton used to like take the mickey and do practical jokes on Deborah Watling, who plays Victoria all the time. And this was her first chance to get her revenge, because when she heard the accent that he was doing, she was like, "Really? You're going to do it like that?" And she really ripped him. But he just goes for it, doesn't he? It's like a performance from like kind of 5 to 10,
Yeah.
And one of my favorite little moments from Troughton in this story, I think it's in episode 1, where they pointed out that, he looks exactly like Salamander, and the Doctor's kind of, it's a close-up of his face, and he's quietly trying to pitch his voice to the accent and kind of capture his face, his mannerisms and his expression. And it's like really minute, and he's kind of like clearing his throat and adjusting his voice. And it's just wonderful to watch.
Like me at the start of our introduction, trying to sing our thing.
What was it he said? We still cannot guarantee good summer holidays for no guarantee. Guarantee. See, it's very difficult.
The Doctor tells them, he's like, "Oh yeah, I think I can impersonate. It was going to take me about 3 to 4 weeks. Give me that much time."
It's like, no, you've got to do it right now.
3 to 4 weeks. I mean, that's a bit.
The Doctor likes to get in character, doesn't he?
That's going to take a while, yeah. But that first episode is so good. The action, the location filming, and then you get the story, and it's easy to follow. We know that Salamander's doing something with the environment or volcanoes. Have I understood that right?
Yep.
Yeah?
He's controlling natural disasters.
Natural disasters,
It's
yeah.
what? But he can predict natural disasters, basically.
I don't think even in our wildest imaginations we ever would have thought how he was doing that, though.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And then in episode 2, we meet Bruce,
Yeah.
the sort of security guy all in black with the glasses. I don't know, he's at the beginning of the story and then he sort of disappears for a bit and then turns up a bit later on. Again, he's completely different by the end of the story because you think he's the guy that's like... And then he's sort of on their side at the end.
Oh, right, okay,
Yeah?
yes, sorry, yeah. No, I wondered what this... Mark did
I don't know
some
what
sort
I'm
of
doing
weird
here.
running movement.
That's my
and
Bruce.
I was trying to work out what that meant.
I don't know what that means. That's what.
You know,
that's
he's very,
Bruce.
like,
He's like
running.
this,
I
isn't
don't
he?
know.
He's like being Bruce.
I don't think we ever see him running, you know? No. Would you know what's great about him?
Shouting very urgently.
Is the actor really did not want to play that part. He was not impressed to be in Doctor Who at all.
Really?
Apparently. And I don't think you can tell. He still gives a really good performance.
Yeah, he's great.
He does. And we meet the real Salamander now in episode 2. That's so good. And then we have all of this sort of poison plot in episode 2
Oh, right, so
and 3.
Sorry, hang on. I had a moment then when you said the real salamander. I was like, there was another salamander? But no, you meant, we met salamander.
Yes. Yeah. And then you sort of really get into the intrigue. And what are you thinking, Sarah, going into, like, as it's progressing?
I don't know. It was good. It was a good story. I was following it.
Yeah.
We met some nice characters. It was interesting to see, like, how they were mixing all these new characters into the story without it getting too confusing.
Because I thought you might be getting... this sounds really bad. No,
hang on. You thought I was getting confused. What was happening was...
No. I thought you were getting sort of bored. It was just a bit too talky.
No. See, what was happening was... not yet. Not at episode 2. No, it was later that I decided I needed to get new broadband.
Oh, no, yeah. It's like, we were watching and Sarah's on her phone, like, just doing a sort of admin. That's a bit later on.
That was later. No, I got an email being like, your broadband's running out now. And I was like, I'm going to forget this. Let's just find a new provider now.
Anyway, so while Sarah's sorting out her broadband, we've got Denish.
Did the whole sign up and everything. I'm now with BT.
Is it Denish that's getting poisoned? That you obviously don't care about. I get a little bit confused by the characters' names. There's quite a lot of people to keep track of.
There's a lot.
The bald bearded guy, isn't he? He's a bit wimpy.
Yeah, the wimpy one.
Oh, no, is that Denish? Is that Denish? I thought, who was the other one that's the head of that
gets shot?
That gets shot.
Oh, Denish.
Yeah. I thought, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, Denish?
There's 2 Denishes. Hang on.
Fedorin is the one with the beard.
That's right. Yeah.
Fedorin is the wimpy one. Right, Fedorin.
So as soon as Fedorin came on the screen, I turned to Mark and went, he's going to die.
And it is incredible. Nobody can do, I'm being killed from poison. Like, no one can underplay that, can they?
And it was like, I said to you, I was like, he's going to die.
It took him quite a while, though. He lasted quite a while.
Full props to Salamander. He didn't bust out like his finest bottle of wine to do it with. So if you're going to go with a nice glass of wine.
And all they wanted him to do was to murder somebody. I mean, it wasn't a lot to ask.
Yeah, that started for me just to get a little bit... Because whenever I've watched episode 3, you've already got all of that set up and you're like, hang on, what's
happening?
Episode 3 is like the one that was in the archives, isn't it? And it's so weird that they kept that one, because episode 1's got all the action. Episode 6 has got like all of the confrontations. Episode 3, they're just like, someone's being guarded in the corridor for like half an hour.
Oh, and he's reading like travel books.
Yeah.
Although that is really nice wallpaper. I like this. I like the design of the houses in this time.
I did need to make a point about like the funky psychedelic wallpaper that Astrid has in 2018.
I really like Astrid's house. Yeah, I'd totally live there by the beach. Take me hovercraft out for shopping.
For shopping.
What episode 3 does have, though, is that chef character, and he's wonderful.
Oh, let's get on to
him.
So we've got the food taster, Fariah.
Oh, she's marvellous as
Fariah?
well.
Oh, yes! Fariah!
Fariah?
Fariah.
Or Fariah?
It's
Fariah, because we've got a new track for Sarah's album. Here we go.
Fariah, I just met a girl named Fariah from West Side Story.
And she tasted my food. No.
What was that?
Jesus Christ.
Pitch perfect.
Oh my God.
Maybe not.
When did that happen? I just remember singing I just met a girl named Fariah who tasted my food.
Fariah tasted your
Maria,
food.
Maria. I'm trying to think of any of the songs with Maria and
Food.
food, and there's not.
Isn't there one that goes like, Fariah, you gotta see her? Isn't there a song like that?
Yes, yeah. Taste your food. No, anyway, let's just move on. Let's move on from this because it's just going to get worse. Anyway, she's the food taster.
I have no idea how she's kept her job when she just like makes this guy think he's been poisoned.
Yeah.
Like a government official. And I was just.
But that shows the power of Salamander, and doesn't it? Like he's such a big deal. He can have a really sarky, arsey food taster.
But
To like what people say.
There's sort of like she hints at sort of some past. I don't know. There's something there, isn't there? She never really explains, but there's quite a lot of times where she's like, "Oh, if you knew, or you know,"
Yeah.
She says something, and you're like, "Hang on,
wish
what
we
does that
knew.
mean? What are they hinting at?" That was quite dark.
Unexplained backstory.
I did think I noted it down when Salamander is like, "Why do you work here as a food taster?" And Salamander is like, "She was hungry."
That's a great line. That's a terrific line.
And now and he's like, and she now has all the food in the world, but now she's lost her appetite.
Yeah, that's really. I didn't like that. No.
Well, it just shows.
I don't know.
It shows to an audience that this isn't a nice guy. There's something we don't know what, but he's not a nice guy.
But you know what? She's another strong female character.
She's great.
But that's two in 160 story. Like, this is rare.
Yeah, we really liked Fariah.
Yeah, I was so upset when she got shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's graphic as well, isn't it? They don't hold back on that.
I think she's going to get a bravery Oscar, possibly. I think she needs to be there.
But she's up for nomination, definitely.
Yeah.
That horrid camp security man. It's like torturing her while she's still alive, isn't it?
Yeah,
what's his name?
Oh, are you talking about...
I'm talking about Mullet Man.
Mullet Man, yeah, that's Bennick.
He is 100% up for a Oscar for villain. He is horrible. There is nothing nice about him. Like, at least Salamander, to some extent, when he's talking with officials, pretends to be nicer. Do you know, like...
He's like charming.
Yeah, absolutely. Bennett is not nice. And he knows as well. He knows so much. And that he aids the bad side of Salamander. He is bad apple.
He says at one point, doesn't he? Like, what is it? I had a really enjoyable childhood. Like, hurting people whilst he's holding Victoria and like threatening to hurt her.
But he says like, I had such a happy childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Thanks.
That was better than Mark's "Our Food" or whatever.
Sorry, I'll make sure I get the fringe going for my next impression.
Thank you.
No, I think he secretly has a bit of a thing for Salamander because he's always very happy to see him.
And he's obsessed. Like, where is he? Where is he? What's he doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He knows so much. Like, he does it really well because, like, whenever he's on the screen, you're like, you are a dick. Like, you are not nice, you're a dick. And you're creepy. You're slimy and creepy.
He's kind of camp, isn't he? Like, there's a bit of a camp menace about him.
There is, yeah.
But one of my favorites is when he is, breaking all the crockery and he gets Giles's photo. It's like, happy memories, and then just smashes it.
Yeah. He's just not nice. He's great at not being nice. And also, whereas like sometimes you get someone that's not nice and then they turn around towards the end. He's just not nice throughout. He maintains that dick character.
With Doctor Who baddies, I often don't find them dangerous to watch, but with him, I genuinely feel that he could do some real harm.
Yeah, you just know he can.
Yeah, and I love that at the end of the story, he tries to take the gun and run off, and then he gets surrounded. Then he goes, "I expect a fair trial," or whatever it was.
Well, go back. So we got Jamie and Victoria. So there's this plan that's put together, and I think it's sort of off screen because that's where I was like, hang on, what's happened a second? The Doctor stays with Kent, and then Jamie and Victoria are transported off by rocket to Salamander's house. So Jamie gets this job as this security guard and plants this bomb, and it's all a setup to get in. And Victoria gets a job in the kitchen. So we follow
And
them,
we meet the great chef.
and we meet the chef. And
The
all of
fantastic,
that.
sarcastic chef.
Yeah. And I don't think Victoria's ever been in a kitchen.
Oh my gosh, her when he's tell us your recipe. It's just the most painful thing to watch. Tell us food. She's potatoes and there's lunch and I'm like, oh my god. Even if you're on pressure, literally that is painful.
Although if you have a Doctor Who party, you've got to make Victoria's recipes.
Whatever that was.
Meat and a pudding.
Yeah. Oh, and it's so tasty.
Pies a cake. Yeah. And then
Do you remember his
"Peel those
reaction though?
spuds."
Yeah, peel those spuds now. It's great.
I was trying to find a photo of it. I was really, when this came out on DVD, I was really happy, and I made a cake, and I did the design like the DVD of Enemy of the World. I'll have to show you a picture.
Were we friends?
No, I couldn't find it. What?
Were we friends then?
No. Well, yeah, but no. No. So I did a salamander. I decorated a salamander on the front. I'll have to find it. So anyway, there we go. That's food talk.
It's really, of course, 2013 because it's a 50th year, but it's really weird knowing Mark doing things like that, but knowing Mark at the same time, as in it's your Doctor Who, because we just didn't talk about Doctor Who.
No, yeah.
That's what I mean.
Okay, right, yeah. I didn't come into work and be like, I've made an Enemy of the World cake.
Or even I've made a cake this weekend for a Doctor Who. You just never would have said any of that.
Well, I just made it and ate it. There wasn't much else to talk about. But I decided to decorate it as Enemy of the World. That's all.
Oh, that's funny.
Question then, has all of this given you an insight into Mark's world, this whole sort of Doctor Who world?
But I feel just before this, I got into Mark's world, because he would send me his pictures from his convention things anyway. So, that wasn't new, but it's just when we actually did work together, there was this period where I just didn't know.
Well, yeah. Well, I didn't really. Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't talk.
Yeah.
Well,
we didn't talk about
at
it, did
work.
we?
No,
we
it's
didn't
just
really talk
fun.
about it. Yeah.
We were just talking, usually laughing about stuff at work.
Just this is going off, but you weren't there at the previous director, Mark.
No.
He was a big Doctor Who fan.
No way.
But I didn't even talk to him about Doctor Who because he would be in his office playing the music, the 11th Doctor soundtrack and stuff, really loud.
My God.
And you could hear it from the in the office.
Oh my God.
He loved Doctor Who, but we never talked about it.
How odd. How funny.
Yeah.
I think I do the same thing as well, but I think for me, I'm not sure if it's the same with you. For me, it's if anybody ever mentioned the show, it's like a trap card for me. I'd just be like, I'll just start talking. I'll just never stop. It's so anytime I'll just be like, oh yeah, I'm a big fan of the show. Now you got me going. We're going to be here for the next 3 hours, but it just doesn't stop, at least for me. Now that you've kind of gone through the 60s stuff, have you ever casually mentioned it and people just made it, wow, you must be such a big fan?
All the time. So, if you're going on dates and things, and I do a podcast. It's about Doctor Who. I have so much early years Doctor Who knowledge that I don't give a shit about.
We proved this the other day because you did the commentary and you listed all the companions in order.
I did. Like, but I don't really. I've like zero interest to like.
I'm surprised you mentioned the massacre earlier. I thought that would have long gone. Like,
it's there. This is what I mean. Like, it's so unfortunate. This is now. It's there somewhere in there. This information does stay, whether I want it to or not.
There's no going back now.
I know, that's a sad thing.
I remember with one of my best friends at university, she sat me down and she's like, Jack, you know, you're doing a degree in like international politics. You don't know half stuff, but you're every version of Sharda. How does that work in your head?
I know. Sorry, we completely detoured in me asking you question marks. Sorry.
What are we talking about? Well, Victoria was in the kitchen. Yeah. She is very bad at doing that trolley. Her trolley acting isn't great. When she couldn't keep that trolley in a straight line going down the corridor. She could not.
She was so bad at that.
Yeah.
Can I just say about Victoria, right? She's just useless in this. Like, what does she do in this? You've got two strong women, and then there's Victoria.
Well, actually, I still quite like Victoria. I'm still surprised that I do. She did have a moment in this where she went to go and hit Salamander, but it was the doctor. You know, I think that was in episode 5 or 6. I thought that was quite a...
But she is the victim in this, though, isn't she? Like,
this story, though, Jamie and Victoria, I mean, other than really early on, where it's getting them into the house. I don't know. I would say palace. It's not a palace.
Where they're on the third bench on the left or whatever they have to be at.
Well, Mark said something. Mark went, you said something like, what? Have I missed something? What's going on? I said, I haven't got a clue. I just know that they're sat on like the third bench in the park or somewhere.
And it's some terrible backdrop, isn't it?
Because Victoria said she counted.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There we go.
You mentioned like she can't keep the trolley in a straight line, and when the guy Farron, is that his name? Tries to trick her with the salt.
Oh yes,
yeah.
And as somebody who used to work in hospitality, when she just kind of panics and runs back to the kitchen and then leaves the food in transit, I was like, "What are you?"
Yeah, she's not great. I mean,
she's never done that. To be fair, she's never done that before. She's been in a Victorian household. She's never had to cook or push a trolley or get the salt.
Or get the salt. Yeah, the Daleks always brought her food, didn't they? That's true.
It's been passed to her.
Yeah.
In this, though, do you not think like the guest characters are so strong that like the companions are actually they can be sidelined because the other characters are so good?
Well, Victoria, she's all right in this. She has a few moments, but then even Jamie, he starts off quite strong, and then towards the end, Jamie and Victoria aren't even in the last scenes. They go back to the TARDIS.
They're sat in a TARDIS, yeah.
Yeah, and aren't for like 2 episodes they're jailed or something? They're imprisoned.
Well, they're not knocked out. Yeah, they're sort of written out, aren't they? Because
are they on holiday?
I don't think they're on actual holiday. But yeah, they're just not really needed, are they? Because there's so much. Because then, okay, let's get on to sort of the end. Sort of, we're skipping ahead a lot. Part 4. So.
Oh yeah, the bunker.
So we see the underground rocket and the bunker, and so when we watched this, we had a break up to we broke at part 4, didn't we?
Yeah. So we broke at that cliffhanger.
This is where the story is. If we didn't have the bunker and all of that stuff, I think this story would be a bit of a slog. But that was a good cliffhanger, and we were
good.
That sort of brought it back up again.
I said to you actually, I said like it needed this. It needed this like complete. And actually, I said to Mark like the Patrick Troughton. Actually, he almost plays like 3 characters. He plays the Doctor. And he plays Salamander upstairs, and then he plays Salamander downstairs, because the one downstairs gets radiation all the time. Like he's a very more he plays it being Salamander, but being this other character that's timid and more, So he's almost like 3 different personas that he's playing by this point.
I'm going to trump you. It's 5, really, isn't it? Because then he plays Salamander playing the Doctor. And then the Doctor playing Salamander as well. It's very confusing.
Yeah. But it shows how good Patrick Troughton is that you do follow that. Like, whatever is like, we go back to the massacre. Like, I was like, is it the Doctor? Who knows? This one, it's very clear, even when jumping ahead, but when he goes onto the TARDIS, you know that's not the Doctor. And it's not just because you've just seen him before. You know the way he's playing that is not the Doctor.
He's like a character actor of some repute, like before Doctor Who and after Doctor Who, and you can see why.
Yeah, absolutely. He's great.
Does he get a holiday somewhere else in the series because he's like doubling up in the roles in this series? Yeah, he's like reduced a little bit, or is it just Patrick Troughton's full blast the whole?
Well, you see, because the actual Doctor is written out for. I don't know if you see the actual Doctor in episode 2 or whatever. I don't know. I think all of this is just one scene. I think it's because the Doctor is quiet.
I think he's just in that one scene.
He's just in that, and then he's Salamander he's more Salamander, because actually if you add up all the Doctor's scenes, he's not in it as much.
No. I wonder if he got paid extra to be another character.
Well, that's why I'm doing behind the scenes trivia here, but like he said to Barry Letts in this story that he was exhausted, and you're right.
Yeah.
Not just knocking everything over.
Yeah, I'm fine.
He said to Barry Letts in this story, who's the director, that he was really exhausted and that he wanted to leave the show because it was just like draining the life out of him. And it was a good sort of year and a half before he went. But you can see why in this one, because that's a lot of work for one man.
Can we go on to a moment which we laughed at, and I think it's very we wouldn't have known. This wouldn't have been picked up on a telesnap or a photo. The woman with the pram.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean with the woman with the pram?
I'm trying to remind
you. Where there's like a shot of the security guards and then there's just a woman with the pram.
Yes.
That is the revelation of this story coming back.
That's a deliberate visual marker. Do you know what that is? That's it's from an Alfred Hitchcock film. And there is a scene from a window shot down and the woman goes past with a pram. And so he's restaging that, the director.
No way.
Yeah.
We burst out laughing. It was just all these guards, and then there's just a woman with a pram.
That's just a moment. That makes the story for me.
I like to think the baby in the pram has one of those ridiculously oversized cannon rifles as well. Water soaked.
It was just so random.
It's such a great little they didn't have to do that. It's just that just creates that world and that scene and that.
You've been casting Doctor Who. What am I? Woman with pram. Brilliant.
Certainly Alfred Hitchcock was watching The Enemy of the World Part 4 or 5. He was like, that's for me. There I am.
Then we go in the underground. Can we just say my favourite characters, Mary and Colin? Here we go. They are so good.
Mary and Colin do remind me a little bit of Spietha
and Altos from Keys of Marinus.
Very Spietha and Altosy.
I don't know who you are, but you must be carrying radiation.
What?
You're from the surface, aren't you?
Radiation? How did you get down here?
Did you see Salamander? And Swan? What about Swan?
Swan sent me. Swan, where is he? He's dead.
You see, Colin, Salamander was right. He always said if we went up to the surface, we'd die of radiation.
No, not radiation.
But pitched at level 100.
Oh yeah, the acting's ridiculous. He also, as an actor, reminded me of James Norton. So every time I came on the screen, I was like, I didn't remember him as Colin. I was like, oh, here's our Norton lookalike.
And she looks like that girl from Harry Potter, the blonde one.
Luna Lovegood.
Lovegood.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are.
That's what they look like. Yeah, but I love Mary and Colin, and I love all their outfits and their sort of karate pajamas, and I'd live in that bunker with them. No
I feel like
you get milk, you get meat in boxes, you get some tins of stuff.
He's so hysterical.
Occasionally, if you're lucky, you get a snippet of the news as well on the back of the box.
Yeah.
He's so hysterical, though. Yeah, he's like, I just want to get out.
Take me with you, Salamander.
I felt like he was going to break into song at any point. I just want to get out. Boom, 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 boom. The time has come. He was so dramatic. It's we like them.
Are we doing Enemy of the World, the musical?
No.
Sounds like it.
No.
But that's so left field. That twist is just so left field.
It's great.
It's great. There is nothing to indicate it either. because you are wondering a little bit like, how is he like, how is he able to predict these things?
Well,
like,
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
They mentioned at the beginning of the story about, the Earth disasters
Yeah.
and stuff. But by this point, you've forgotten.
Yeah. Because, you've just been following this story of someone being killed, basically, You're so in that. It's so good. I mean, we finished at that point for the day, but I was like, this is a really good place for it to go and a good cliffhanger. It's great.
And you're definitely right, because especially with like 6-parters, you definitely need to inject like something new to like keep you going towards the end. And one of the things I just found really interesting about The Enemy of the World as well is that it doesn't really, at least when it introduces something new, it doesn't stop for very long to explain and do heavy exposition. So when they first arrive, there isn't a lot of conventional world building on like, we're in Australia in 2018 and the UN and this has happened and that has happened. You just slap bang straight into the action. And similarly in that episode, you just end up in the bunker and you just have to catch up with wherever the script is going, which I think is really rewarding.
It's something we've talked about actually recently, but there is this sort of expectation with these episodes of Doctor Who that the audience, you have to pick up and run with it and you have to keep up. Like, they don't spoon feed you. And it's been like that for a few of these episodes now where, like, you arrive and you're in it and you keep up. Like, or you know a lot more. The audiences in the 60s obviously knew a lot more and were smarter to be able to keep up. Even like the languages change in different things because the episodes can be so different. The language that people are using and this sort of this spacey talk as well, all that, like, to then, like, you could be with a Tibet monk, like, and that it's so like, but the audience, you just have to keep with it. You have to keep going.
They have to do it at a certain pace because what's happening is so absurd that if you stop to think about it for a second, you're like, okay, I'm not buying this. Whereas this twist, like, those people down in that base are staggeringly naive, aren't they? Like, they've been taken underground and told that the whole Earth, with no evidence whatsoever. Yeah, I would be asking questions, like big questions.
And when Astrid goes down there, they all get their brooms out. They all have managed to have a broom. I don't know how many brooms they've got down there. How many brooms?
Yeah, they've all got a broom.
It's the cleanest bunker on record.
That's all they got. That's all they're doing, just sweeping this small room.
Oh, love them.
So somehow it works, doesn't it? Like, even though it is bizarre.
We can either whack you with a broom or cause a volcanic eruption. There's no in between.
We need the Mary and Colin adventures, them growing up in that bunker. Yeah, that's the spin-off we need.
That's the spin-off. Sure.
So give Big Finish any ideas, all right?
Yeah. And Astrid can fly them around in a helicopter and everything. They can go anywhere.
Yeah. Because Astrid goes down to rescue them, doesn't she?
Yes.
But just going back, so I don't know the guy that's in the bunker. I don't know his name. I called him Karate Man on my notes because he looks like he's wearing his... He's the one that goes up with Salamander.
Yeah.
Because he finds a newspaper thing, doesn't he? And then again, that was a shocking cliffhanger where you don't see him being hit over the head or whatever happens.
You just know it's coming, though, don't you? You know Salamander's going to do it at some point.
But but you hear this cry. Astrid hears this crying in these bushes or all these sort of Christmas tree area. She's climbing through all them trees and stuff for ages and finds him. Actually, all the cliffhangers are... Well, they are big moments, but they're just these sort of close-ups of people's faces. A lot of the cliffhangers, weren't they? They were just this moment. There's nothing like there's not a scream or a...
It's not like Moments of Jeopardy, is it?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's just there's like one line, there's a line and a look, and then and a big close-up, and that's it. They're all like that, aren't they?
Yeah, but they are like interesting moments of tension because like the cliffhanger for episode 1, for example, is literally, can the Doctor do a good impersonation of a Mexican world leader?
Yeah.
In episode 3, there's this wonderful cliffhanger where it's like, it was you or someone like you. And he looks at the camera.
Yeah, they're all like that, aren't they?
They're really... This is... It's a shame, actually, that we did stop. I'm glad we did, but... We stopped at the best cliffhanger. The one where you were like, I want to know what's going on. Whereas all the other ones to this point, the story's been good enough to sustain, but the cliffhangers have been crap. They have just these long stills on people's faces, don't they?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
It's like, great.
Yeah. We have Giles. I've put Giles Ketchup on head, where he pretends to be knocked out at some point. I started to get a little bit lost. I think this is where my broadband might have been happening.
Yes.
We got a little bit sort of off track. I'm not sure because does he disappears for a little while, doesn't he, for a couple of episodes, and he sort of picks back up again. And then I'm just reading my notes. I've just got Giles Ketchup on head, Karate Man, Astrid finds him. And then I've got Salamander upstairs.
As a little aside, Salamander needs new security because they're terrible. People waltz into that security complex. People have tomato ketchup on their head and they don't even...
Jamie did try to tell him, to be fair.
But he did that by staging like the world's worst terrorist attack with that bomb that was going off in the shrubbery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know, I think in my notes, when they do the bomb plot, I was like, is this Doctor Who doing The Night Manager?
Yeah.
Because that's what happens. They threaten a highly respected international kind of philanthropist and benefactor, and Jamie is invited into... Jamie is Tom Hiddleston. That's the takeaway.
We go into the final episode.
And then we're going into the final. So Salamander, you're not sure where Salamander is because he's for a while.
Yeah.
I was wondering where he's going to turn up next. I've written soup because they're all eating soup downstairs in the bunker.
Soup.
Nice little ladle of soup. And then it's the reveal.
Nice and creamy as well with milk.
Yes.
Yeah. They're very good at making soup. Mary and Colin's soup. That's a good idea. Anyway.
But that's the second reveal, isn't it? Like you just said, the reveal of Giles Kent. You've got the reveal of the bunker and the reveal of Giles Kent. And stories don't usually pull off one decent twist, let alone two.
Yeah.
But it's all wrapped up very quickly. I feel like I say this all the time on here.
This
it's all
really
wrapped up
was.
very, very quickly. Because this explosion happened. Well, Giles Kent gets shot.
Yeah. A lot happens.
And then the bomb goes off. You never see Mary and Colin again after that bomb. That's the most concerning moment for me. They're all in that room.
They're dead.
No. I can't believe that they finally got up there and...
They can't be dead. They just can't be.
Do they get a scene where they're like, fresh air or anything like that? I can't remember.
No, they just come up and like...
Astrid brings them up. They're all in that room. You've got Mary, Colin, Astrid, Doctor, and maybe Bruce is there.
Oh, no, Bruce
The whole
gets in,
explosion
yeah.
goes. Astrid, the Doctor come out of that room. Mary and Colin do not come out of that room. That is the last we see of them. I was upset
The
about
last
that.
you see is when everything's falling over
Yeah,
and
they're
they
like,
huddle together.
Yeah, that's it. That's all you see.
Chaotic, isn't it? It's like madness is going on. And then we never...
Because then Astrid's like, right, I'm going to go and get the rest of the people. And then you don't see Astrid, you don't see anyone else. She
And
cuts
we were
the
like,
TARDIS.
the rest of the people, what about these two people? What about Mary and Colin?
What about Mary and Colin? I'm just...
Oh, that's what the spin-off's about. That's Astrid trying to find them.
It's so quick. There's not even a scene. It's just chaos. It's left with chaos.
And then you get the salamander getting on the TARDIS.
Yeah, and that's really quick. And then,
but isn't that terrific? That
is amazing scene. Yeah.
I was like, is he going with them? Is this like carrying on? Like, I had a moment of like,
Salamander's a new companion.
Yeah, I was like, is he like, what's going to happen here? I knew it was the last episode though, so yeah, it's sad that you don't get to see at least them get down to the base.
You don't see what else happens in that world. You don't see then who takes over, who does what.
You find that a lot though with these Troughton stories. They skip off at the end really quickly.
They do.
Well, I suppose they did at the end of the Ice Warriors. They did, but
Yeah.
at least everything was, they were getting up and resetting the computer and stuff. But there's still chaos going on. There's still people trapped underground. And what happens to? I want to know.
I want to know.
It's like a choose your own adventure Doctor Who story. You write your own ending, so it's singularly unique to every person. I killed them off, but you had them survive and get married and have a lovely life.
Mary and Colin.
Oh, we like them, and we liked Fariah. And never see it again.
Yeah, exactly.
And Astrid, like. all you want to know is like what they do they make it to the bunker? We see them alive on the screen, the people down there.
Yeah.
But like I think it's the fact that everything is still in so much danger and peril when they leave. Do you know, like it's not like things are calm, right, we need to get them out. You're like, okay, that's gonna happen. It's like, no, it's gonna explode. Like, we need to get these people out. I know how. We don't know if they're going to... Like, we literally have no idea what happened.
And you think, like, after 6 episodes of these people, they deserve some kind of conclusion.
They do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just... It's such...
Yeah.
They just needed another 5 minutes.
And like I said...
And I never say that.
Like I said, there's no... no Jamie and Victoria in that last scene again. Yeah. It's just...
Sorry,
they're in the TARDIS scene, aren't they?
Well, they're in the TARDIS on film, but they're not in... anything
it.
to do with that last episode of the bomb or any of that stuff.
No.
I still can't believe they managed to like pull off the split screen thing of the 2 Doctors in one shot.
Yeah.
Because I think apparently there was supposed to be more of that. They filmed some more of that, but the camera jammed or something happened. I think that was supposed to be more of a showdown. But even that, just with that one shot though, is perfect.
Imagine if they hadn't have done that confrontation between the two of them, there would have been something massive missing in this story, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, like, I was worried there was going to be, like, another fake Doctor.
What do you mean?
Like, you know when we had, in your favourite story, The Chase?
Oh, Robot Doctor.
Yeah, but it's fake Doctor, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
it's from pretending...
What? You thought it was a robot? What?
No! I thought that they might have someone... pretending.
Oh, I see. Oh, sorry. Production-wise, they would have had
Yes.
someone dressed up as Patrick. Oh, okay,
Yes.
I see. Right, that's what you mean. Yeah, like a lookalike. Yeah, like a bad look.
Like
Yeah,
Robot Doctor.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, I see what
Yeah.
you mean now. Yeah, Robot Doctor, like fake actor.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they didn't.
No, they actually went. Yeah, they actually did the thing. Yeah.
It's good.
How amazing is it that he gets sucked out of the TARDIS doors in flight?
Yeah.
I know, it's good. It's really good.
I like that Jamie clutches onto the pillar and it should definitely topple over and fall out, but he's somehow rooted to the spot.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many weird things like that, and off he goes, and that's that.
Do you think they did that, though? Do you think they had like a rope on his foot and they just dragged him out the door?
I don't know. They must have. But it's just, it's weird because actually it's a bit of a cop-out as well. Like, I wanted some sort of like more confrontation-y thing of like, to get him out, whereas actually they're all hanging and he's just... And it happens really quickly, the whole thing. The Doctor's literally in, we have that one scene and then he's gone. And it's like, woof, woof, woof.
You know what it should have been? He should have had like a political downfall, like one of those moments where someone's exposed. And because he's been such like a political animal throughout the whole story.
Yeah, and the Doctor in particular in this story makes such a big fuss about having evidence and having tangible proof.
Yeah.
That's because they need to get Patrick Troughton. Like the Doctor can't do anything because he's playing Salamander, so he's basically, I'm not getting involved with this story. All right.
But it's
not unless I have a good reason. Yeah. It's weird.
But you're right. Like from an evidence point of view, that was so crucial, and it's just all in the middle of this chaos, and then they're gone. It's all it just needed a bit longer.
I have a geographical question.
Oh.
So the TARDIS lands in Australia. Where is the underground bunker? Because it's in Salamander's facility, which I thought they said was in Hungary.
Yeah, because it takes like 2 hours by rocket or something.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I was just like, did Salamander just walk through caves that led him to that one beach in Australia? Is that what happened?
Oh yeah.
Did he just cross the ocean?
Yeah, because we were saying like
it's a long tunnel, all right.
Like because you see him in the rocket going down. Astrid walks down there very quickly. That is a good point, isn't it?
You talk about the locations. How refreshing is it in this season where every story is like in one location, it may basically in one base. They're traveling like the whole world in this story. It's really nice. And there's no monsters.
No, just great characters.
The last time we didn't have monsters was the Highlanders.
Yeah, that was poor. That was poor.
I think you're right with the ending as well, because the thing I found really strange was that you see him fly off into the vortex and then it cuts to credits. Because I was expecting some kind of like moment where, the Doctor closes the doors and does like a little thing about
You say that in the next story, which have you guys seen yet?
No, we haven't.
No, so you can't talk about it.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say Sarah.
Can I just say one?
No, you can't. You can't.
Oh no. Okay. I'll be quiet.
You have to suffer Mark's pain, constant pain.
Mark, I feel your pain.
Well, I was going to say. So
we're in their house. We play by their rules.
Okay, that's fair.
What do you think happens next? So I haven't told you what the next story is called yet.
No, you haven't. Go on.
Okay, so it's called The Web of Fear.
Oh, okay.
So what do you think? Or how do you think it's going to carry on?
It's nothing to do with... Do you remember the Keys of Marinus episode 2 is called The Velvet Web? It's nothing to do with that.
So, I think there's going to be aliens. I think it'll be a jungle
Oh, okay.
setting.
I haven't seen it, so I know nothing.
Have you not?
Never, no.
You've got a Britbox, young man. Go and watch that.
Wow.
When it cooperates, it's a very finicky thing.
It is. It is a very finicky thing. Right.
Right. Well, so we got to the end of the story, but we've got one more thing to do, which we usually do.
Oh, right. Yes.
Which I haven't told you guys, actually. So we're going to play one quick round of Guess the Monster. Joe versus Jack. So there are I've got 3 battles in time cards here with monsters on, which Sarah is going to describe.
It's this game.
So you just have to shout out what you think it is, and best of 3. So.
Okay.
So, are you ready? Okay.
This is the first I've seen these cards. So.
Can I just say, though, before we start, Sarah, I got every single one of your competition ones, and I never entered. And I got them all.
So, just to say, these are classic monsters.
Okay.
Classic series.
They're classic.
Okay?
The classics. Okay.
And I think they're fairly. I think you should be able to get them.
We'll find out.
Here we go.
Okay. This one is circular. It's got diamonds, triangles that make up the sphere. It's silver on here, but Mark believes it could be gold. And it's shooting fire. It's a first Doctor.
Circular.
It's a big circular metal. It's got like
it's not a chumbly. No, it's not a chumbly.
No, it's big. It's got like then from the top of it something that sticks up and like spins around, but it seems to be shooting fire. I know this one, so I'm trying to like.
Mechanoid.
It's a mechanoid. Yeah, you both said that at the same time, so that's a point.
There we go, point each.
Okay. Oh, I have not met this one yet. So. What the hell do I describe this? Okay, it's like, I can't think of any way to describe this isn't rude. Okay, I'm just gonna go for it. It kind of looks like a really ill, deformed penis with a face, right? And like it's got a load of blotches on it.
That could literally be 10 monsters.
It's got like craters, like not craters, like suctionally cratery things. Like it looks like it's by the sea. So Yes, it's a Zygon.
Well
Okay, this one kind of looks. Imagine a horse with red eyes.
The Gom. Is it the Gom?
No. I'm saying a horse. Like a horse is sort of like long face, but red eyes. And then it's got like gold things pointing out.
Is it an Nimon?
Yay!
Jack, you won that by 1 point.
Well done, Jack.
Amazing. Thank you.
Jack, imagine if we hadn't have got the Nimon.
Oh, that would have been awful. We would have had to rename the podcast or just end it.
Yeah. Well, I think the hovercraft's on its way to get us to take the caravan. Oh, there's Astrid. We'll be over in a minute. Astrid's outside.
I've been looking forward to this all day.
What am I saying?
The fact she isn't a companion will always make me cross.
Yeah.
I know, she'd have
needs
been
to come
great.
back. She needs to come back.
She should have been part of her own 60s spy show. Set in the
Yes.
Well, there she is. Well, she's waiting for us, and we've got to quick up this crockery and stuff. So, thank you both for joining us.
Thank you, Bang.
Thanks for having us.
Where can people find your podcast?
Oh, that's a good question.
Joe, why don't
damn
you
it.
take this bit?
Where can people find our podcast?
Astrid's waiting to
I
tune in.
introduced us. This is your turn.
So basically, all available podcast platforms: Google Podcasts, Anchor, Pocket Casts, Spotify, and we've got a Facebook page and we've got a Twitter page. What's the Twitter handle, Jack?
At Nimon Podcast.
And just put the Nimon Be Praised in Facebook. I promise you, there's not another page out there called that.
And Joe is also in the middle of doing his own commentary podcast series, which I feel like you should plug.
Of which Mark and Sarah have recently dared to do my first six-parter of The Keys of Marinus.
Woo.
Yeah, that's the first one that Sarah's watched again.
Yes, that was my first rewatch of an episode.
Featuring the massacre of the Wicker Man that went out on air.
Anyway.
Anyway.
And that's called A Hamster with a Blunt Penknife.
Oh, thanks, Jack. Do you want to job as my marketing man?
Cool. Well, and I'll do. What do we usually say? I've forgotten. Sorry, I was listening to you guys. I was listening to
you. Never remember what you say at the end.
What do we say? What do we say? Right. Okay.
Yeah, you always say, "Well, and you can find us on."
I don't say it like that.
Yeah, you do. You go, well, and you can find us on. I never listen.
Okay. I would just do that, and you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at @WhoWatchWho. We will see you next time for the Web of Fear.
Ooh. Bye.
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 Bye-bye.
To watch who?